Let me tell you the story of one of the most captivating, controversial, and brilliant actors to have ever graced the silver screen. Today, we're delving deep into the life of Oliver Reed, an actor whose presence was impossible to ignore, and a man whose life was filled with extraordinary highs and devastating lows. Oliver Reed was born on February 13, 1938, in Wimbledon, London, England. His full name was Robert Oliver Reed, and he came into the world in a family that was both artistic and tumultuous. His father, Peter Reed, was a sports journalist, and his mother, Marcia Reed, was known for her fiery personality and devotion to family. He had one older brother, David, who would play a significant role in Oliver's life, especially before his career reached meteoric heights. The Reeds were related to Sir Carol Reed, the acclaimed director of the classic film The Third Man. Talent, it seems, was a family inheritance. In fact, Oliver grew up surrounded by creativity, but his early years were anything but conventional. Known for being a rebellious child with a wild streak, he bounced between schools and was often at odds with authority. His education was patchy, as he never settled into a traditional academic framework. But it became clear that his energy and charisma were bound for something greater. What Oliver lacked in traditional schooling, he made up for in spontaneity, wit, and raw talent. Standing at around 5'11" and possessing a muscular, broad-shouldered build, Oliver Reed radiated physicality. It became one of his trademarks on screen. His dark eyes, intense gaze, and rugged good looks made him an immediate standout. His weight was estimated at about 190 pounds during his peak years, a reflection of his imposing presence. He truly was larger than life. His nationality, of course, was British, and he personified the boldness and eccentricity often associated with being quintessentially English. As for his faith, though raised nominally Christian, Oliver's views on religion were complex and private. He was a man who believed more in living life with passion than in adhering to dogmatic principles. Oliver's acting career began humbly. Before fame, he worked odd jobs, including as a nightclub bouncer and serving in the Royal Army Medical Corps. But it was in the late 1950s when his journey into acting began, starting with small, uncredited roles in films. His breakthrough came with Hammer Horror Productions, where his commanding screen presence began capturing attention. However, it wasn't until the musical Oliver in 1968, where he played the menacing Bill Sikes, that Oliver Reed truly shot to global fame. His chilling portrayal of the villain remains a cinematic classic. For Oliver, the 1960s and 1970s were a whirlwind of bold roles and unforgettable performances. He was unafraid to take chances and embrace controversial material. In Women in Love, directed by Ken Russell, Oliver made history with a daring scene involving a nude wrestling match between him and Alan Bates. This performance attracted both acclaim and controversy, solidifying his reputation as a fearless actor who pushed boundaries. In The Devils, another Ken Russell collaboration, Oliver gave one of his most iconic performances, navigating the deep emotional complexity of his character, Father Urbain Grandier. But Oliver's off-screen life was just as famous as his acting. He quickly gained a reputation for being a hard-drinking, unapologetic party-goer who lived life on his own terms. He was renowned for his wild antics, his love of pubs, and his endless supply of outrageous anecdotes. It's said he often outdrank everyone at the table and told stories that were so entertaining people would lose track of time. Despite this Hellraiser persona, those who knew him closely described him as deeply intelligent and sensitive, a man who felt everything deeply, even if he didn't always show it. He married twice. His first marriage was to Kate Byrne in 1959, and they had a son, Mark. However, their marriage ended in divorce. Later in life, Oliver married Josephine Burge in 1985. This marriage lasted until his death, and she stood by him through much of his tumultuous later years. Aside from his son, Oliver is said to have fathered other children, some of whom remain undocumented in the public domain. Oliver fiercely loved his family, but often struggled to balance that with the demons he carried throughout his life. Aside from acting, Oliver was deeply philanthropic in his own unassuming way. He often supported smaller, local charities without fanfare. He was known to contribute to causes that championed mental health, animal welfare, and the arts, though he never sought recognition for his efforts. The later years of Oliver's acting career brought challenges, as the man who had once ruled the screen saw a decline in mainstream roles. Still, his legacy was cemented by iconic performances in films like Tommy and Crossed Swords. And then came Gladiator, the 2000 historical epic directed by Ridley Scott. But Gladiator would also mark the tragic end of Oliver Reed's journey. He passed away on May 2, 1999, in Malta, while taking a break from filming. He suffered a heart attack in a pub, living his larger-than-life persona until the very last moment. In fact, the pub moments before his death are iconic, as he was reportedly arm wrestling and laughing with locals. At the time of his death, Oliver Reed's net worth was estimated to be around $10 million. Not an astronomical fortune by Hollywood standards, but a reflection of a career devoted to art and adventure rather than calculated financial gain. He left behind unfinished work in Gladiator, but through the magic of digital effects, his final scenes were completed posthumously, allowing cinemagoers to see Oliver one last time on the silver screen. What many people don't know about Oliver Reed is how deeply he cared about authenticity. Though often branded as a Hollywood wildman, he loathed fakery and superficiality. Interviews with those who knew him best reveal a man who despised the artificial glamour of Hollywood, preferring the raw, unfiltered experience of living. He was also a voracious reader, loved classical music, and surprised many friends with his knowledge of art and philosophy. Oliver was a man full of contradictions. He could recite Shakespeare one moment and then sing a bawdy pub tune the next. He loved fiercely, laughed loudly, and lived unapologetically. He was rebellious, charismatic, and undeniably human, with all the imperfections that entailed. And while many saw only the headlines, the fights, the drinks, the scandals, those who looked beyond the facade found a man of tremendous depth and heart. This is the legend of Oliver Reed, a man who burned brightly and refused to live in anyone else's shadow. His legacy remains testament to one simple truth: some people are simply too big for this world.